Did you know your body is like a musical symphony? Let's investigate this together. Imagine your body as a vast orchestra, each part playing its unique role to create a symphony of sounds. And guess what? This orchestra never takes a break. From the moment you wake up to the time you fall asleep, and even while you're dreaming, your body is constantly humming, buzzing, and drumming. Now let's dive into the fun part. Have you ever noticed the growling sound your tummy makes when you're hungry? Or the peculiar hiccup noise that just pops out of nowhere? Maybe you've experienced the sudden, explosive sneeze that interrupts a quiet room? Well, these are all part of your body's symphony. Your stomach growls, not because it's trying to embarrass you in a quiet room, but because it's busy breaking down your last meal and preparing for the next one. It's like a drummer in the band, setting the pace for digestion. Hiccups, on the other hand, are like the unexpected solo in the middle of a song. They happen when your diaphragm, a muscle that helps you breathe, gets a little too excited and starts to spasm, causing you to take in air quickly. The result? A sudden hic sound that can sometimes leave you red-faced. And let's not forget the sneezes. They're like the cymbals in the orchestra, providing a loud crash when you least expect it. Sneezes are your body's way of evicting unwanted guests, like dust or germs, from your nose or throat. Here's a funny fact. If you were to record all the sounds your body makes in a day, you'd have enough material to fill an entire music album. That's right. Your body is a non-stop sound-making machine. So next time your tummy rumbles, or you hiccup, or even sneeze, just think of it as your body's way of playing a tune. It's your very own personal symphony playing 24/7, and the best part? No tickets required. Ever wondered how many times you blink in a day? It's more than you think. Now, let's talk about blinking. It's something we all do without even realizing it. Like breathing, blinking is an automatic bodily function that we just can't control. It's our body's natural way of keeping our eyes refreshed and protected from dust and other tiny particles in the air. But have you ever stopped to think about how often we blink? On average, a person blinks about 10 to 20 times per minute. That might not sound like a lot, but when you add it up, it's actually quite a lot. If we consider that we're awake for about 16 hours a day and we're blinking 15 times each minute, that's a whopping 14 to 28,000 blinks in a day. Now, here's a funny fact for you. Each blink lasts about 1/10 of a second. If we do the math, that means we spend about 10% of our waking hours with our eyes closed just from blinking. Now, isn't that something? Imagine if we added up all the time we spend sleeping. We could almost say we spend more time with our eyes closed than open. But don't worry, blinking is a good thing. It helps to keep our eyes moist and free from irritants. Plus, it gives our eyes a quick break every now and then. So while it may seem like we're missing out on a lot, we're actually doing our eyes a huge favor. It's amazing how our bodies work in ways we don't even realize. Blinking is just one of those little things we do without thinking, but it plays a big role in our overall health and well-being. So next time you find yourself in a blinking contest, remember, you're already a pro at it. After all, you've been training for it all day, every day, without even knowing it. Who knew we spent so much time with our eyes shut? It's a blinking marathon. You've heard of fingerprints, but what about tongue prints? That's right. Your tongue is unique. Now, I know you're probably thinking, wait, what? My tongue has its own print? Well, believe it or not, the answer is a resounding yes. Just like our fingerprints, every person's tongue has its own unique pattern. This means that no two tongue prints are the same. It's a bit like having your own secret code, right there in your mouth. Pretty cool, huh? Now you might be wondering, how do we even know this? Well, thanks to the wonders of technology and some very curious scientists, we've been able to discover and study these fascinating tongue prints. Using special scanners, researchers can capture the unique patterns on our tongues, much like how a fingerprint scanner works. But it's not just the patterns on the surface of our tongues that are unique. The structure of our taste buds is also different for everyone. These little bumps on your tongue that let you taste the sweetness of candy, the sourness of lemon, or the spiciness of jalapenos are all arranged in a way that's entirely unique to you. What's even more interesting is that your tongue print can change over time. Just as your preferences for certain foods can change as you grow older, so can the patterns on your tongue. Isn't the human body just full of surprises? So next time you're sticking out your tongue at the mirror, remember, it's not just a muscle that helps you talk, taste, or tease your siblings. It's also a part of your identity, a one-of-a-kind pattern that's unique to you and you alone. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll be unlocking our phones or entering our homes with our tongues instead of our fingers. Imagine that. So remember, your tongue isn't just for talking and tasting. It's your unique identifier. Did you know your nose never stops growing? Well, that's only half the story. Yes, indeed. Just when you thought your body had finished its growth spurt, here comes a surprise. Your nose, that central feature on your face, keeps growing throughout your life. But hold on, before you start worrying about having a schnozzle that rivals Pinocchio, there's another side to this tale. Let's dive into the science behind this. You see, the reason for this continuous growth is something called cartilage. It's a kind of flexible connective tissue that's not as hard as bone but sturdier than muscle. And guess what? Your nose and your ears are full of this stuff. As we age, the cartilage in our noses and ears continues to grow, and interestingly, it also starts to sag. That's right, even your nose isn't immune to gravity's pull. Over time, this sagging, coupled with the continued growth, can make these parts of our body appear larger. So while you might have been envisioning a future where your nose is the size of a giant pumpkin, that's not quite the case. Instead, your nose might just droop a little more and look a bit more prominent. But don't worry, this is a completely natural process and happens to everyone. It's just one of the many fascinating ways our bodies change over time. And there's a silver lining here. If you've ever felt self-conscious about your nose, remember that every single nose out there is unique and constantly changing. So your nose is not just a nose, it's a living, growing, sagging testament to the journey of your life. So next time you look in the mirror, give your nose a little nod of appreciation. It's been through a lot and it's got a lot of growing yet to do. So while your nose may grow, it's also getting a little saggy. Talk about a nosedive. Did you know your brain is a sneaky trickster? Let's find out how. Now I know what you're thinking. My brain? A trickster? How? Well, here's a fun fact for you. Your brain can't actually feel pain. Yes, you heard that right. Despite being the command center for all sensation, your brain itself can't feel a thing. It's like the boss who delegates all the work but doesn't do any itself. So when you bump your head and feel that sharp sting, it's not your brain that's crying out in pain. It's the skin and bones protecting your brain that are sending out distress signals. Your brain is comfortably nestled inside, completely oblivious to the outside drama. This leads us to another intriguing point. Have you ever experienced a headache, a pounding, throbbing sensation that makes you want to lie down in a dark room? Well, guess what? Your brain isn't really hurting. It's just playing a little trick on you. Here's the scoop. Headaches are usually caused by the tissues surrounding your brain. These tissues can feel pain, and they're the ones sending out the SOS signals. The brain, being the master of disguise that it is, makes you think these signals are coming from it. It's like a ventriloquist throwing its voice, making you believe the sound is coming from somewhere else. So if it's not the brain, what is causing your headache? It could be tension in your muscles, changes in your blood vessels, or even sinuses acting up. The brain just takes these sensations and says, "All right, I'll make it seem like it's me causing the ruckus." Isn't that sneaky? Your brain, the control center of your body, the mastermind behind all your thoughts, ideas, and sensations, is also a bit of a prankster. It's constantly tricking you into believing things that aren't entirely true. So next time you have a headache, remember, it's not your brain that hurts, it's just being a bit of a prankster. Wow, we've learned some pretty wild stuff about our bodies today, haven't we? From our body's symphony to our eyes running a blinking marathon every day. Not to mention our unique tongue prints and our noses that never stop growing. And let's not forget our brains, always up to their sneaky tricks. And remember, if anyone tells you you're not unique, just stick out your tongue and prove them wrong. Why? Because no one else has a tongue like yours. Now, isn't that a tongue-in-cheek fact for you?